Chapter 38. Light. The world looks different through newly opened eyes, Virgilio. It's the trick of time. What you believe today, you may not believe tomorrow. Things change when you're not looking. And then you open your eyes and you see light. Was that light? Virgil had drifted off. A few hours ago, he wouldn't have thought it was possible to sleep when your life was in grave danger. But he'd actually fallen asleep, cradling Gulliver close to him. All the crying, fear, and loneliness had wrapped a big, heavy blanket around him and told him to rest. So he had. But now, the darkness on the other side of his eyelids shifted and there was light, like when his father flicked on the switch to wake him up for school. 1 minute darkness, next minute light. But there couldn't be light, could there? And there couldn't be noise, right? People calling his name? It sounded like someone was calling his name, or maybe a few people. Did he hear a dog bark? That didn't make sense either. He didn't want to open his eyes because he didn't want to find out it was all a dream, or a trick, or that he was dead, and this was the light that everyone talked about. If he opened his eyes, it wouldn't be real. He wouldn't hear Kaori and Jen calling out, "Virgil! Virgil!" And then a third voice, a girl's, that sounded like a voice he knew, but it couldn't be. That was the sign that it was all a trick. It wouldn't make sense for Valencia to be up there with Kaori and Jen. They didn't even know each other. This was proof that he was dead, not being rescued. But they called again. "I think I see him," Jen said, "but it's dark. I can't tell." He opened his eyes. He saw light. He saw the silhouette of 3 heads, all looking down at him. One of them was certainly Kaori. He could tell by her hair. He blinked and blinked again. "Hello?" he said. His voice was quiet and hoarse. "Hello?" "Louder, Bayani, louder." "Hello?" he called. "Hello?" "He's in there! He's in there!" It was Jen. Her voice filled the well with a different kind of light. "Virgil, it's Kaori. We're going to rescue you." "Oh," Virgil said. "Good." He wanted to say more, much, much more, but that's all he managed. He stood up. His legs tingled with numbness. He checked on Gulliver, who regarded him with shaking whiskers. "We're being rescued," he said. Gulliver chirped. Virgil shifted his backpack from the front to the back. "Valencia and Jen are here with me," Kaori called down. Something about the way she said it made him think that she knew who Valencia was. But how did they know each other? How did Kaori find her? And had Kaori said anything? Suddenly, Virgil was overcome with embarrassment. But that didn't matter now. First, he needed to be rescued. Then he could be embarrassed. "How come you can't just climb up the ladder?" yelled Kaori. "How'd you get stuck down there?" "The bottom of the ladder is missing," called Virgil. "I can't reach it from here." The 3 heads looked at each other and murmured a discussion. "We're trying to figure out the best way to rescue you," Jen informed him. The discussion continued for several more seconds. He couldn't hear anything until Jen said, "Wait a minute, what about this?" Virgil couldn't see what "this" was, but he didn't much care as long as he was getting out. "That's a great idea." It was Valencia. "I'll do it." He swallowed. Valencia was there with Kaori and Jen. Valencia. Could it have been the stones, each of a different size, or was it just a coincidence? There are no coincidences. Someone was coming down the ladder, holding something. A rope, maybe. How had they found a rope? It was Valencia, coming down faster than he'd done hours before, but slowly enough to watch her step. "Be careful," he wanted to say. "Please be careful." His heart pounded. He cleared his throat. When she reached the bottom rung, she dropped one end of the rope into the well and said, "Take this, and I'll tie the other end to the ladder. Then you can pull yourself up like a mountain climber." He couldn't see her face because of the darkness, which meant she couldn't see him. He was glad for that. He reached for the rope. A jump rope. "That's my jump rope, Virgil. I grabbed it before we left the house," Jen called down proudly. "Isn't that lucky?" Yes, Virgil thought. Very lucky.